we now go to the second question or second part of first question in quiz 2, which is the true false type, right? And mostly the questions this time will be from casting, of course. A good method to produce wheels with spokes is semi-centrifugal casting. So this is true, right? This is not something that can be explained to you, but in the 1 or 2 slides where we were explaining semi-centrifugal casting, we gave you that when we make wheels with the spokes are those needles inside the wheels. So when we want to produce wheels with the spokes, then semi-centrifugal casting is the direct method. Ingot casting qualifies as the best precision casting process. It is definitely wrong. When we were talking of the best precision casting process, we did not mention ingot casting, and later on in the read yourself slides, when you see ingot casting, nowhere do we say that this is the best precision casting process. So it is false. If the number of pieces being produced is very large, cost per piece would be lowest in sand casting, right? No, this is false, because if the number of pieces is very large, then die casting, will produce very, very quickly. Even in every minute, you can produce several castings. But in sand casting, you have to make one mold for every casting. So if their number of pieces is very large, sand casting may be done in some cases, but it will not be that it will give you cost per piece as lowest, right? In die casting, the initial cost, because you make the whole die of metal, is large, but then you can produce several castings per minute and maybe 100 castings per hour and so on. So if the number of pieces is very large, then die casting would give you the lowest cost, right? So this statement about sand casting is false. The process of squeeze casting combines the advantages of casting and forging. So yes, it is very true. If you go to the slide on a squeeze casting, then you would definitely know that it is a casting method, but it is like we are forging from the top. We are pressurizing from the top. So we are combining casting and forging together, and that is what it is. So a squeeze casting, yes, has both the advantages. So this is definitely true. Hardness of green sand mold increases with increase in permeability. No, this is definitely wrong. Permeability means there are big pores. Permeability means there are big pores. If there are big pores, hardness is definitely not very high, right? So hardness will increase with the temperature that we do. We dry it and we increase the hardness. But more permeability means it is not very strong and it is not very hard. So this is definitely wrong. This is now the half portion of the problem in quiz 2 that you have to do by hand. It had a small theory part, which is here, which I am saying 4A. In the quiz it was 2A, and later on we will do a small numerical part. So here it says, for sand used in sand casting mold, give advantages and disadvantages for the following: a small grain size, large grain size, irregular grain shape. Now it is a very simple thing. The lectures were there, lecture notes, and in video lectures also I explained it. But this is one of those general knowledge type of things that if you understand basic science, if you understand basic engineering, and alhamdulillah all of you do, then you can directly think of the advantages, disadvantages. But I have to make a small comment. I mean, I really feel bad about making comments like this. If you think yourself, then you can write advantage, disadvantage and so on, small grain size this, large grain size this. But if, though you have signed the honor statement and you have agreed that you will access only the formula sheet and the rest of the things you will do by yourself, and you can easily do it. But sometimes if you look at the answers, then it looks like a direct cut and paste of the lecture slide, or a direct cut and paste from some internet place. So then it makes you feel bad. Majority of you, alhamdulillah, did very well. They gave the advantages, disadvantages. But remember, I am asking to give both advantages and disadvantages of each. So if you are just cutting and pasting, how do you know? Sometimes the language is exactly the same. You see, during a quiz and an exam, how can you reproduce exactly the same language as were there in the lecture notes or is there in some book and so on? So one is this. Second, if the book or the notes gave only an advantage and did not give the disadvantage, then you are also writing advantage and not the disadvantage. And again, by you, I don't mean you. Majority of you, as I said, have done well, but some of you, it looks like, are resorting to sort of unfair means, which is not very nice. So let us proceed, and don't feel bad about these comments. This is not about any one of you in particular, but about some of you, and hopefully this would not repeat. A small grain size, advantage, better surface finish on the cast part. You see, the grains are small. If the grains were large, the surface would be rough. So better surface finish on the cast part, obviously. Good mold strength. The grains are very small, so they can be very closely packed against each other, so the strength of the mold will be good. Disadvantage, not good in permeability. When the grains are very small and they are very closely packed, the gaps between the grains is very small, and permeability, right, to allow gases to flow between the pores should be large. So permeability will definitely not be large when the grain size of the sand is small. Large grain size, it is exactly opposite. It is more permeable, right? The grains are large, like large circles. If you try to pack large circles, there are still big gaps in between them. So because they are large grains, so there will be more pores in between, more permeable. This will allow gases to escape during the pouring. So this will be good for venting the gases. But disadvantage, not good mold strength. If a small grain size gives good mold strength, then large grain size does not. Not good surface finish. If a small grains give you good surface finish, then the surface finish in large grains will of course not be so good. So you see, it is not a matter of repeating and memorizing and so on. If you have done one of them, the small grain size, correctly, then large grain size should be automatic. Irregular grain shape. Irregular. They are not all circular, they are not all triangular, they are not all rectangular in cross section and so on. Irregular grain shapes. The advantage is that they do interlocking. When they are all round, even if you press them, there are small gaps. But some are rectangular, some are triangular, some are round. So they fit into all these small gaps also. So it is called interlocking. And when they interlock, the mold strength is even higher. A small grain size will have good mold strength, but irregular grain shape will have the highest strength due to interlocking. Compared to uniform shape, if round grains are there, there are small gaps still there. Disadvantage, interlocking means there are almost no gaps or very small gaps, so the permeability has gone down. Right? So this was a sort of a simple one if you think, and many of you got the right ones, but very few of them got all the advantages and advantages. Some got right here, some got right there, some missed there. But I keep on repeating that if you turn on the light, the brain, the lamp is on, then the answers are not a big issue. Now we go to the second part, which will be a small numerical problem of quiz 2. Quiz 2. Now remember, when we started the chapter, we said that there is one section which is giving you that how is the mathematics, a small mathematics, when liquid metal is solidified. And I told you that this is definitely a part of the chapter, because all of this casting is exactly this. Casting means you melt at a very high temperature and then you cool in the mold or in the die and so on. But this part of the course is not this part. You have covered it in material science. In material science, there was one chapter about phase diagrams, and there was another chapter about engineering alloys, which was also phase diagrams. And all of that was just doing this, that if there is any alloy, lead tin alloy or copper nickel alloy or iron carbon alloy, and you have a high temperature, and then when you bring the temperature down, then as you cool, what happens? So this was phase diagrams. So I said in the lecture slides, in my videos, in my lecture notes, that this portion we will definitely cover because this you need, but we will not repeat it as a lecture here. Just go back to your material science course and quickly do 1 or 2 examples on phase diagrams again. So this is based on that. Lead tin phase diagram is shown in the figure. Give phase analysis, which means phases present, phase compositions and mass fractions of phases at the eutectic composition just below the eutectic temperature. So this diagram is given to you and you can enlarge it as much as you like on your computer. Now it is shown that 61.9% tin, you know that here is the composition, and percent tin from 0 to 100 is given. So percent lead is the other way around, right? Lead is 100 here and 0 there. Tin is 0 here and 100 there. So this point, 61.9% tin, this is the eutectic composition, and of course this line is the eutectic temperature 183 Celsius. So these two things are given to you now, right? Eutectic composition just below eutectic temperature. It means that the alloy that you are given, the starting alloy, has a composition of 61.9% tin, and the temperature is 183 Celsius minus delta T, just below it. So when you want to solve this, then you draw a line, the lever rule line, which is almost the same line. It is just fractionally below it. So you have this line, draw a vertical line here. This line cuts at alpha. Draw a vertical line here and read roughly what is. You read 19, you read 19.5, you read something like that. Similarly, you cut there. So this is 80, this is 100, exactly in the middle is 90. And then half of that will be 95. So you read roughly here, whether you read 95 or 96 or 97 roughly, that will be your reading. But because I am giving you this diagram and you will put a line here and you put a line here. So if you are taking a number like 97.3, 97.8, then naudhu billah once again you are looking somewhere else. If you are doing it yourself, then you would be rough. You would be roughly saying 19 here, you would be roughly saying 97 here, and so on. Maximum you will be saying 18.5, 19.5. But you cannot tell me that on this diagram I am drawing my own vertical line and I am giving you exactly 19.3 or exactly 97.8. Then I start to doubt, which is very natural, that you see, you are not trying to solve it yourself. You are just reading the values from the lectures, from the book, from somewhere, which again you see at your stage, I have no problem because I am giving you this diagram and I know that you will draw lines yourself. So your answers will be slightly rough and I will give you 100% marks on that slightly rough answer. But when I see that your values that you are reading are impossibly accurate, then you have a right answer. But now I don't feel very confident with your answer, right? So this you should keep in mind, that just try it and do it yourself and don't read values from somewhere else. After all, your honor is huge. When you say this is my honor, I am signing this document. So please stick to that.